Hey everyone! In this video, I will be making the belemnite dress by Marilla Walker. This is a dress that I saw Abby Cox make in a video a while back, and I instantly fell in love with it. It's so cozy looking and cute, and it has poofy sleeves, which I love. And I just knew that I had to make this dress. And I wanted to make it out of flannel so that it would be comfy and like a blanket, and I could wear it in the colder months as well. So while I was working, I saw the cutest cotton flannel, which is this. This is what I got. I got 4 yards of it, which is more than enough for the dress. In fact, I think I'm gonna have a lot of extra material from this. But it has all of the zodiac signs. I myself am an Aries. I was born on April 14th. So yeah, I love astrology. I'm not that into it, but it's just like a fun thing to look at sometimes. I have CoStar on my phone, you know, it's a good time, astrology. So I'm gonna make the Marilla Walker dress in this astrology fabric. And then I'm going to make the sleeves and the panel at the bottom. So the skirt is like in 2 pieces. It goes out and then it kind of goes out again at a different angle. And so there's a bottom panel of the skirt. And I'm gonna make that and the sleeves in this solid color flannel that complements the blues in the pattern. So I have washed this fabric and I've printed out the PDF pattern, and now I have to tape it together. It's a really thick pattern. I'll show you. These are all of the pages for the pattern. And I printed this on letter size paper at 100%. When you're printing this, you want to print out the first page and the key. There's a little key with markings in it. That box is supposed to be 10 centimeters. So you want to print out the first page and make sure that that box is at 10 centimeters, and then you want to use the same settings to print out the rest of the pattern pieces. So I printed them on the letter paper, and then I trimmed down the sides so that when I tape them together, the edges won't overlap as much. And then when you tape them together, you want to match up these triangles so that they make little diamonds. And there's a diagram on the first page of how the pieces are put together. So I'm gonna follow that and tape them all together, and then I will have the pattern. So here's the pattern all taped together. It is very large, as I said before. If you can see the rug next to it, it was basically the same size as the rug. I forget how many pages the pattern is. It's probably somewhere around 60 pages. It's really, really large. But after I got it all taped together, I then was able to cut out all of the pattern pieces. And I still didn't know if I wanted just the sleeves to be in that blue, or if I wanted the sleeves and the bottom panel of the dress to be blue as well. So I went over to my design book and I sketched out and colored in both of those options. And you'll notice that I also colored in the waist ties blue on both of these illustrations as well. And I still think I would have liked the dress better if the waist ties had been blue. However, I did not have enough fabric to do that, so you'll see in my final dress the waist tie is in the astrology fabric. And here are the two options that I have. I did end up liking the blue panel at the bottom better than having the whole skirt be white, so that is what I went with. And after I picked a design, I was able to cut out all of the pieces for the dress. And now we are at the first day of me sewing this dress together. It was a long day of sewing seams and pressing seams open and sewing more seams. Let me tell you, pressing seams adds so much time to sewing a garment together. And I know some people really don't like pressing seams because it's such a tedious process. This was like the first garment that I've ever made where I actually pressed the seams open, and let me tell you, this was a game changer. This made all of my lines and seams look so much cleaner in the end. So even if it is a tedious process, I promise you, ironing out those seams is going to be so worth it in the end, even if it is a lot of work. So here I am pinning one of the sleeve pieces to the center body piece. And the sleeves have an upper and lower sleeve part. So this is the upper sleeve that includes where your shoulder sits. And then the lower sleeve, you'll see here, it's just a rectangle of fabric that you are going to want to use the pleat guide that is included in the pattern to mark out where all of those pleats are. And so in order to do this, I made a snip where each of the marks on the pleat guide was. So these are little notches that I then used to pin those pleats together. You basically fold the fabric so that the notches match up, and then you pin that into place. And you want to do that with all of the pleats. Make sure they are going the same way. And that is how the pleats on the belemnite dress are made. Okay, it is day 2 of actually sewing the belemnite dress together, and I thought I'd give you an update of where I am. I have rehearsal in a little bit, so I don't think I'm gonna get any more sewing done today. But at this point, after 2 days of sewing these pieces together, I have most of the top part of the dress done. I have all of the top pieces on here. The sleeves are done. The waistband is on. I just have to finish the neckline of the dress. And I skipped over that, actually. And I skipped over completing the neckline today because one of the instructions says to understitch, and I had no idea what that meant. And it was stressing me out because I couldn't figure out that instruction. So I skipped ahead and I ended up sewing the top panels of the skirt together. So now all of these are sewn together and it is ready to prep, because these two sides that are unattached are the front of it. Because I'm doing view B, how it is, and so it's going to be buttoned. So this top half of the skirt is ready to be sewn onto the bodice and have the buttons placed on it. But I ended up viewing a video by Evelyn Wood about understitching, and now I think I understand what it is better, and so I can go in tomorrow and actually figure out how to finish the neckline of this dress. And then I can sew the skirts together, and then the next part after attaching the top skirt with the bodice is doing the buttons. So I may or may not procrastinate on that step because buttonholes are terrifying. It's so scary to sew a buttonhole because if you do it wrong, you don't really get to do it over. I guess you can seam rip it all out. I don't even own a seam ripper. So yeah, that's where I am in sewing this dress. And I'm very excited to finish it. I'm almost there. So once I figured out what understitching was, I was able to complete the neckline. So there is a neckline facing piece that you will need to make, and you will need to put interfacing on it. So that is what I'm doing here, is I'm putting interfacing on these pieces. And also a bit of interfacing goes on the top skirt panels in the area that is folded over for the buttons and the buttonholes to be sewn on. So I also put interfacing on the skirt panels during this step. I just did all of the interfacing at one time. And here you can see the skirt when it is folded over. There is a fold line on the pattern, so you will just want to follow where that fold line is. And then I marked out all of the buttonholes with this blue water-soluble pencil. And this is the only button footage that I filmed. I didn't actually film me sewing the buttonholes or sewing the buttons on. That was just a stressful process to beginning and end, and I didn't feel like filming any of it, so I just didn't. So I'm sorry that you don't get any fun button footage. And at this point, the dress was done. Besides the hem, you can see the unfinished hem at the bottom. So hemming the skirt was the last step for me to do, and then the dress was officially complete.